The lights above the arena flickered and changed from blue to deep red. That meant another fight was about to start. Day shifted in his seat and tried to get comfortable on the hard metal bench. The crowd around him started cheering and shouting in dozens of different languages. Some he recognized, most he did not. Theta Station was not a nice place. It floated at the edge of known space, far from the laws and rules that kept other stations safe and clean. Here, anyone could come. Anyone could trade. Anyone could fight. The station made its money from gambling, drugs, and blood. Mostly blood. Yuna sat next to Day and nudged his arm. She had to lean close so he could hear her over the noise. "We should leave after this match." "Our ship leaves in 4 hours." Day nodded. They were cargo haulers, nothing special. They moved supplies from one colony to another and tried not to cause trouble. But Yuna had wanted to see the famous proving grounds before they left. "One match," she had said. "Just one." That was 3 matches ago. The arena floor was 30 meters across, made of reinforced metal that could handle plasma weapons and acid blood. Dark stains covered most of it. The walls rose up high on all sides, and the crowd sat in circles around the pit. There were maybe 2,000 beings packed into the space. Day could smell too many different body chemistries mixing together. It made his nose itch. A tall, thin alien with gray skin walked to the edge of the arena. It spoke through a voice amplifier that made its words boom across the space. "The next challenger enters. 17 victories. 0 defeats. Vextor of the Krivath blood clans." The crowd went quiet. Even the drunk ones stopped shouting. A gate on the far side opened. Something huge stepped through. Vextor stood at least 8 feet tall. His body was covered in dark red scales that looked like armor plating. He had 4 arms, each one thick with muscle. His head was reptilian with a mouth full of teeth that looked like knives. His eyes were yellow with black slits for pupils. Those eyes saw everything. The Krivaths were hunters, not just hunters like humans who tracked deer in the woods, real hunters. Their entire species had evolved to chase, catch, and kill. They were fast, strong, and had senses that could track prey across entire planets. Other species feared them. Smart species avoided them. Vextor wore only simple cloth pants. No armor, no protection. He did not need it. In his upper right hand, he carried a blade that was as long as Day's arm. It hummed with energy and glowed faint blue along the edge. The gray-skinned announcer spoke again. "According to Krivath tradition, the champion may choose his opponent. Who among you will face Vextor?" No one moved. No one spoke. 2,000 beings all tried to look anywhere except at the arena floor. Day understood why. The Krivaths did not fight for sport. They fought to prove their worth as hunters. Losing meant death. There was no mercy. No second place. You won or you died. Vextor walked slowly around the arena floor. His clawed feet clicked against the metal. He turned his massive head left and right, scanning the crowd with those terrible yellow eyes. He was looking for someone. Anyone. The silence stretched out. Day could hear his own heartbeat in his ears. "If no warrior volunteers," the announcer said, "the champion will choose." Vextor stopped walking. He stood in the center of the arena and raised his blade high. The humming sound grew louder. Then he began to turn slowly, letting his eyes sweep across every section of the crowd. Yuna grabbed Day's hand. Her palm was sweaty. "We should go," she whispered. "Now." But they were 15 rows back and boxed in by hundreds of other beings. There was no quick way out. Vextor's gaze moved across their section. Day tried to make himself small. He looked down at the floor and hoped the alien would pass over him. He was just a human. Humans were weak compared to most species. Surely the Krivath would want a better challenge. The crowd held its breath. Then Vextor stopped turning. His entire body went rigid. The blade in his hand trembled slightly. Day felt eyes on him. Lots of eyes. He looked up. Vex's Tor was staring directly at him. Not just looking. Staring. The alien's mouth hung slightly open. His forearms had gone stiff at his sides, the blade pointed down at the ground now, forgotten. The crowd began to whisper. Confusion spread through the arena like ripples in water. "What's happening?" someone asked in a language Day barely understood. "Why did he stop? Is the human someone important?" Yuna's grip on Day's hand became painful. "Day, why is it looking at you?" "I don't know," Day said. His voice came out rough and dry. Vextor continued to stare. Seconds passed, then more seconds. The alien did not move, did not blink. His chest rose and fell with rapid breaths. The scales along his neck and shoulders had changed color slightly, going from dark red to a paler shade. A Krivoth in the crowd 3 rows down stood up. It was smaller than Vextor but still massive. It shouted something in a language of clicks and growls. Vextor did not respond. His eyes stayed locked on Day. The announcer looked confused. It spoke into its amplifier again. "Champion Vextor? Do you choose the human?" No response. "Champion, you must choose or forfeit your weight." Vextor's voice was deep and rough. He spoke in broken human language, each word coming slow and careful. "Wait." The entire arena heard it. 2,000 beings all leaned forward at once. Vextor lowered his blade slowly. The energy field around it shut off. The humming stopped. He placed the weapon on the ground and took a step back from it, then another step. His 4 hands came up in front of him, palms open and facing forward. It was a gesture of peace, of submission. A champion of the Krivoth blood clans was backing down from a fight with a human cargo hauler. The crowd exploded into chaos. Beings jumped to their feet and shouted in confusion and anger. Money changed hands as bets were called off. The announcer tried to restore order, but no one listened. Yuna pulled Day toward the nearest exit. "Move. We need to move right now." Day let himself be dragged through the crowd. He looked back once and saw Vextor still standing in the center of the arena. The massive alien was watching him leave. Those yellow eyes tracked his every movement. Then the crowd closed in between them and Day could not see anymore. His heart pounded in his chest. His hands shook. He did not understand what had just happened. But he knew one thing for certain. His life had just become very complicated. Day and Yuna made it back to their small quarters on the lower deck of Theta Station. The room was barely large enough for 2 bunks and a shared locker. Day locked the door behind them and leaned against it, breathing hard. "What just happened?" Yuna asked. She paced back and forth in the tiny space between the bunks. "That thing looked at you like you were a ghost." "I don't know." Day ran his hand through his hair. "I've never seen a Krivoth before today. I've never done anything to them." Then why? A knock at the door made them both jump. Day pressed his eye to the security viewer. A human woman stood in the corridor. She looked to be in her 30s, with short black hair and practical clothes. She held up her hands so he could see she was unarmed. "My name is Ari," she called through the door. "I'm a translator. Vextor sent me. I need to speak with you." Yuna shook her head quickly. "Don't open it." But Day was already unlocking the door. He needed to understand what had happened in that arena. He opened it just wide enough to look at the woman. "How did you find us?" he asked. "Station registry. Took me 10 minutes. Ari glanced down the corridor. "Can I come in? People are talking. You're famous now." "Not the good kind of famous." Day stepped aside and let her in. He locked the door again. Ari looked around the small room and chose to sit on the floor since both bunks were taken. "Vextor wants to meet with you. Privately. He needs to understand something." "Understand what?" Yuna asked. "We're nobody. Just cargo haulers." "That's what I told him, but he insists." Ari pulled a small device from her pocket. It looked like a translator unit, but more advanced than the cheap ones Day had seen. He kept saying something in his language. I had to look it up in the old databases. "Do you know what pray that cannot die means?" Day felt his stomach turn cold. "No." Ari studied his face. She had good eyes, sharp eyes. "You're lying. What aren't you telling me?" Yuna moved to stand between Ari and Day. I think you should leave. Wait. Day put his hand on Yuna's shoulder. He was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, Kepler 442. Yuna turned to stare at him. Day. No, she needs to know. They all need to know. Otherwise this won't stop. Ari leaned forward. What's Kepler 442? A colony, Day said. His voice sounded distant, like it was coming from someone else. 1,500 light-years from Earth. I lived there 5 years ago. There were 8,000 colonists. The terraforming equipment failed, and we couldn't fix it. The atmosphere turned toxic. The temperature dropped 30 degrees below freezing. The emergency supplies ran out after 2 months. He sat down on his bunk and stared at the floor. It took 9 months for the rescue ships to arrive. By then, only 12 people were still alive. I was one of them. The room was silent. Even Yuna looked away. She had known, but hearing Day say it out loud was different. How did you survive? Ari asked quietly. We did things. Day's hands clenched into fists. Things I don't talk about. Things I can't forget. We ate plants that made us sick. We burned everything we could find for heat. We performed surgery on each other with tools meant for mining. We did whatever it took. He looked up at Ari. His eyes were hard now. We refused to die. Even when we should have. Even when it would have been easier. We just kept going one more day. Then one more. Then one more. Ari was quiet for a long time. Then she said, The Kriviths can smell it. Smell what? Trauma. Survival. Your body chemistry changes when you experience extreme stress over long periods. The Kriviths have sensors in their noses that can detect it. They evolved to identify prey that had survived previous hunts. It told them which animals were smart, which were dangerous. She stood up and moved to the door. To Vextor, you smell like something that should be dead, but you're not. To his people, that's sacred, terrifying. It means you're not normal prey. I'm not prey at all, Day said. That's the problem. Kriviths divide the universe into 2 categories, hunters and prey. They've never met something that didn't fit into either category. Ari opened the door. Meet with him. Tomorrow, Dock 7C at noon. I'll be there to translate. She left before Day could respond. Yuna locked the door again and sat next to Day on the bunk. You don't have to do this. Yes, I do. If I don't, this will follow us. I've spent 5 years trying to forget Kepler 442. But maybe that was wrong. Maybe I need to remember. That night, Day did not sleep well. He dreamed of the colony. He dreamed of the cold. He dreamed of the 12 people huddled in the last heated room, burning furniture to stay alive just one more night. He dreamed of the faces of those who did not make it. When he woke, his pillow was wet. Yuna was already awake, sitting on her bunk and watching him. I'm coming with you, she said. You don't have to. I know. I'm still coming. At noon, they walked to Dock 7C. It was a private docking bay used for small ships. Ari was there waiting. So was Vextor. Up close, the Krivith was even more intimidating. Each of his scales was the size of Day's thumb. His claws could tear through metal. But his eyes were different now. Not hunting eyes. Curious eyes. Vextor spoke in his own language. The sounds were clicks and low rumbles that came from deep in his chest. Ari listened and then translated. He says thank you for coming. He means no harm. He must understand what you are. Day crossed his arms. Tell him I'm human. That's all, Ari translated. Vextor responded. He says no. Humans are prey species. Weak. Soft. Short-lived. But you carry the mark of death refuser. His people have legends of such beings. They met them thousands of years ago. A species that could not be hunted because they would not accept death. What happened to them? Yuna asked. Ari translated the question. Vextor's response was long and detailed. They vanished. The Kriviths tried to hunt them to extinction and failed. Every time they thought the species was finished, survivors would appear somewhere else. They had adapted, changed, become something new. Eventually, the Krivaths gave up. They declared those beings sacred, untouchable, the greatest prey that never became prey. Vextor took a step closer to Day. He bent down so their faces were at the same level. His yellow eyes studied every detail of Day's face. He spoke again, softer this time. He asks, "How do your people do it? How do you refuse death?" Day thought about the question. He thought about Kepler 442, about the cold nights, about the impossible choices, about waking up every morning when staying asleep would have been easier. "We're stubborn," Day said. "That's all. We're too stupid to know when we should quit. We see a problem and we don't think this is impossible. We think, how do I solve this with what I have? We improvise, we adapt, we cheat, we do whatever it takes." Ari translated. Vextor listened. Then he did something unexpected. He lowered himself to the ground. All four hands touched the dock floor. His head bowed. It was a gesture of respect, from a Krivath champion to a human cargo hauler. "He says your species is dangerous," Ari translated. "Not because you are strong, but because you cannot be broken. And that makes you the greatest hunters of all." Day did not know what to say to that, but he knew that everything had changed. Word spread through Theta Station faster than fire in dry grass. By evening, everyone knew about the human who had made a Krivath champion bow. The story grew with each telling. Some said Day was a war hero. Others claimed he was a secret government agent. A few whispered he was something else entirely. Day tried to ignore it. He and Yuna went to the cargo bay to prep their ship for departure. But people kept staring, pointing. Some tried to approach him before Yuna scared them off. Juan found them at the loading dock. He was a thin man in his 40s, with gray in his hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. He worked as the station's human liaison, helping new arrivals navigate the chaos of Theta Station. He also ran a small information brokerage on the side. Technically illegal, practically necessary. "We need to talk," Juan said. He did not wait for an answer. He grabbed Day's arm and pulled him toward a maintenance corridor. Yuna followed, her hand near the plasma cutter on her belt. Once they were away from the crowds, Juan checked both directions and then spoke fast. "You're in danger. 3 different groups have put out inquiries about you in the last 2 hours." "What kind of inquiries?" Day asked. "The bad kind. The Vrin Collective wants to study you. They think humans have some biological advantage they can copy. They're offering 50,000 credits for an intact specimen. Alive preferred. Dead acceptable." Yuna swore under her breath. "Who else?" Day asked. "The Talon Syndicate wants to recruit you. They think having a human would give them an edge in negotiations. And the Krivath delegation on the station is demanding a formal audience. That's probably the safest option, but still dangerous." Day leaned against the wall. This was spinning out of control. "We're just cargo haulers. We don't want any of this. Too late. You're valuable now. In this place, valuable means target." Juan pulled out a datapad and showed them a map of the station. "Your ship is in Bay 12. I can get you there through the maintenance tunnels, but you'll need to leave immediately. Don't stop. Don't talk to anyone." Before Day could respond, Ari appeared at the end of the corridor. She walked quickly toward them. "Don't run. Vextor has a proposal." "We're done with proposals," Yuna said. "Listen first. The other factions know you're not protected. If you leave now, they'll follow you, hunt you, capture you. But if Vextor declares you under his protection, you become untouchable by Krivath law. Any attack on you is an attack on his bloodline." Juan whistled low. "That's a serious commitment. What does he want in return?" "He wants to understand humans. Really understand them. Not through studying or fighting, through experience. He wants Day to show him how your species survives. Day looked at Yuna. She shook her head. It's a trap. Maybe, Ari said. But it's better than being hunted by the Vryn or the Talons. And Vex Tor honors his word. Cravaths never break their oaths. Where is he? Day asked. Waiting at the lower levels. Section 9. He's already there. Juan frowned. Section 9? That's the poorest part of the station. Nothing down there but refugees and broken equipment. Exactly, Ari said. That's where Day needs to take him. They descended through 3 levels of the station. The walls changed from clean metal to rust and patched repairs. The lights grew dimmer. The air smelled like too many bodies in too small a space. This was where people came when they had nowhere else to go. The forgotten parts of the station. Vex Tor waited in a wide corridor that had been converted into a makeshift living area. Families huddled in small spaces marked by hanging sheets and cardboard walls. Children played with broken toys. The air was too cold because the environmental systems did not work properly down here. The massive Cravath looked out of place among the refugees. But no one ran from him. They had bigger problems than a predator in their midst. Show me, Vex Tor said through Ari's translator. Show me how humans survive. Day walked through the corridor slowly. He saw a woman trying to heat food over a jury-rigged heating coil. 3 children sharing one blanket. A man coughing blood into a rag. This was survival at its most basic. He stopped at one group. A Krivath male sat against the wall, alone. His scales were dull and cracked. One of his 4 arms hung limp and useless. His eyes were empty. Who is he? Day asked Ari. She spoke to the Krivath in his own language. He responded quietly. His name is Jun. He was exiled from his clan for failing a hunt. Among Krivaths, that's worse than death. He has no purpose now. No place. Day knelt next to Jun. What happened to your arm? Jun looked at him with surprise. No one had spoken to him in days. He answered through Ari. Broken in the failed hunt. Cannot afford medical treatment. Let me see. Jun extended his damaged arm slowly. Day examined it carefully. The bone had been broken but had healed wrong. It would never work properly without surgery. But surgery was expensive. And Jun had no money. I can't fix it completely, Day said. But I can make it better. Do you trust me? Ulming. Jun stared at him, then nodded once. Day spent the next hour working. He used supplies from an emergency medical kit that Juan provided. He fashioned a brace from scrap metal and old cargo straps. It was ugly and rough, but it supported Jun's arm and allowed limited movement. Not perfect, but better than nothing. When he finished, Jun flexed his arm slowly. Pain showed in his eyes, but so did something else. Hope. Why? Jun asked through Ari. Why help failed one? Because you're not dead yet, Day said. And if you're not dead, you can still do something. Help someone. Fix something. Survive one more day. That's all any of us can do. He stood and looked at Vex Tor. That's how humans survive. We don't wait for perfect solutions. We use what we have. We help each other. We make do. Vex Tor was silent for a long time. His yellow eyes moved from Day to Jun to the other refugees. Finally, he spoke. Cravaths are perfect hunters, Ari translated. We do not improvise. We do not accept less than perfection. If we fail, we die or are exiled. There is no middle ground. Then your people are fragile, Day said. Because perfection is impossible. The universe doesn't care about perfection. It cares about what works, and what works is being stubborn enough to try again, and again, and again. A commotion at the far end of the corridor interrupted them. People were screaming, running. Day heard the distinctive crack of plasma weapons. Juan appeared, breathing hard. We need to move. Now. The Vryn sent Shrike hunters. Professional killers. They're sweeping the lower levels looking for you. Yuna grabbed Day's arm. How many? At least 6, maybe more, They're killing anyone who gets in their way. Vex's Tor's body tensed. His 4 hands curled into fists. He reached for his blade, but he had left it at the dock. I will fight them. No, Day said. This isn't your kind of fight. This is mine. You cannot defeat Shrikes. They are trained killers. I'm not trying to defeat them. I'm trying to survive them. There's a difference. Day turned to Juan. The maintenance tunnels. Can you get us there? Yes, but do it. Bring anyone who wants to live. Juan nodded and started shouting orders. The refugees grabbed what they could and followed him. June struggled to his feet. Ari helped him. Yuna looked at Day. What's the plan? We run. We hide. We cheat. We do everything they don't expect. He looked at Vex Tor. Are you coming? The massive Krivath stared at him. Then he made a sound that might have been a laugh. Or maybe respect. Yes, I come. I want to see how prey becomes hunter. They ran into the dark tunnels with the sounds of weapons fire and screaming behind them. The real test was about to begin. The maintenance tunnels were narrow and dark. Emergency lights cast red shadows every 20 meters. Water dripped from pipes overhead. The air tasted like rust and old machinery. Day led the group through the maze of corridors. Behind them, they could hear the Shrikes. The sound of clawed feet on metal. The click of weapons being armed. The hunters were getting closer. They're tracking us, Vex Tor said. His voice was too loud in the confined space. Shrikes can sense body heat. We cannot hide. We're not hiding, Day said. He stopped at a junction and examined the walls. He found what he was looking for. A control panel for the environmental systems. He pulled it open and started rewiring circuits. We're making them work for it. What are you doing? Ari asked. Changing the temperature in different sections. If they track heat, we give them too many heat sources to follow. His fingers moved quickly, connecting wires that should not be connected. The panel sparked. Somewhere in the tunnels, a heating unit kicked on at maximum power. Yuna understood immediately. She ran to the next junction and started doing the same thing. Within minutes, they had activated heating units in 6 different sections. The tunnels became a maze of hot and cold zones. The sound of the Shrikes grew confused. Day heard them splitting up, following different heat signatures. Good, he said. Now we move. They continued through the tunnels. June struggled to keep up with his damaged arm. Vex Tor had to bend low to fit through some passages. The refugees followed in silence. Too scared to make noise, Juan led them to a storage area filled with old equipment and spare parts. We can rest here for a moment. There's only one entrance. Easy to defend. Easy to trap us too, Yuna said. But she was breathing hard. They all needed a rest. Day searched through the storage containers. He found fuel cells, electrical wire, and old plasma cutters. His mind started working. Putting pieces together. Can you make weapons from this? Vex Tor asked. Better. I can make traps. For the next 20 minutes, Day and Yuna worked together. They rigged fuel cells with pressure triggers. They ran wire across the tunnel entrance at ankle height. They positioned plasma cutters to fire on a signal. It was messy work, dangerous. One wrong connection and they would kill themselves instead of the Shrikes. But it worked. June watched them with his good arm resting on Day's jury-rigged brace. This is not honor, he said through Ari. This is not how warriors fight. We're not warriors, Day said. He finished connecting the last wire. We're survivors. There's no honor in survival. Just another day alive. Ari sat against the wall next to June. The Krivaths have a saying, better to die with honor than live with shame. Humans have a saying too, Yuna said. She was checking the plasma cutters one more time. Live to fight another day. I like ours better. A sound echoed through the tunnels. Getting closer. The Shrikes had found them. Everyone behind the containers, Day said. Stay quiet. Stay low. They hid in the shadows. Day watched the entrance through a gap in the containers. His heart pounded in his chest. His hands shook. He was scared. But fear was good. Fear kept you alive. 3 shrikes appeared at the entrance. They were tall, reptilian creatures with silver scales and multiple eyes that glowed in the dark. Each one carried a plasma rifle that could cut through metal. They moved with the confidence of predators who had never failed a hunt. The lead shrike stepped through the entrance. Its foot hit the wire. The fuel cells exploded. Fire filled the corridor. The shrikes screamed. The plasma cutters activated, firing in 3 different directions at once. 2 of the shrikes went down. The third dove back into the corridor, injured but alive. Silence fell. Smoke filled the storage area. "Did we get them?" one of the refugees whispered. "2 of them," Day said. "But there are more." Vextor stood up from behind his container. He looked at the destroyed entrance, and then at Day. "This is how humans hunt. With fire and pain and chaos. Yes, it is effective. They could not stay in the storage area. The explosion would draw more hunters. They needed to keep moving." Day led them through a different exit, deeper into the station's maintenance levels. As they walked, Vextor moved up beside Day. "Tell me about Kepler 442. Day did not want to talk about it. But the Kriveth had earned an answer. "What do you want to know?" "How did you decide who would eat and who would not?" The question hit like a punch. Day stopped walking. Memories flooded back. Cold nights. Empty stomachs. Impossible choices. "We drew lots," Day said quietly. "Every meal. Everyone put their name in. We drew. Whoever got picked ate. The others waited until the next day. It was the only fair way. And when someone was too weak to survive another day without food, we gave them extra portions. Took from our own shares. Because we needed everyone. 12 people can do more than 11. 11 can do more than 10. We all had skills. We all had value. Losing even one person meant losing our chance to survive." Vexistor was silent for a long moment. "Krivoths would not do this. The weak would be left to die so the strong could survive. Then Krivoths would have died," Day said. "Because survival isn't about being strong. It's about being together. Humans are weak individually. But together, we're dangerous." They reached a wider corridor. Day saw a control terminal for the station's life support systems. An idea formed in his mind. A terrible idea. But possibly their only chance. "Can you access the life support?" he asked Juan. "Maybe. Why? Can you seal off specific sections? Control the airflow?" Juan's eyes widened. "You want to suffocate them? I want to make them choose between following us and breathing. Give me options." Juan worked at the terminal for several minutes. "I can seal Section 7 and vent the atmosphere to space. It won't kill them immediately, but they'll have about 3 minutes before they pass out." "Which section are we in now?" "Section 8. And Section 7 connects to here? Through the main corridor?" "Yes," Day thought fast. "Here's what we do. We let them see us enter Section 7. Then we double back through the service ducts. When they follow us in, we seal the section and vent the air. By the time they realize what's happening, we'll be gone." "That's cold," Ari said. "That's survival." Yuna touched his arm. "Day, these are living beings. These are beings trying to kill us. To capture us. To sell us. I didn't start this fight, but I'm going to end it." He looked at each of them. "Anyone who has a problem with that can stay here." No one stayed. They set the trap. It took careful timing. They had to be seen but not caught. Had to move fast enough to escape but slow enough to be followed. The remaining shrikes took the bait. All 4 of them entered Section 7, following what they thought was trapped prey. Juan sealed the section. The venting began. Day watched through a security monitor as the shrikes realized what was happening. They tried to break through the doors. Tried to shoot their way out. But the doors were reinforced metal designed to contain explosive decompression. One by one, the shrikes collapsed. Day turned away from the monitor. He felt sick. This was not the person he wanted to be. But it was the person he needed to be. To keep everyone alive. June approached him. The exiled Krivath spoke without Ari translating. His human words were broken but clear. You. Good hunter. I'm not a hunter. Yes, you are. Best kind. Hunt with mind, not claw. This is true strength. Vex Tor placed one of his 4 hands on Day's shoulder. The gesture was gentle despite the Krivath's size. Your species survived Kepler 442. Because you do what must be done. Not what is honorable. Not what is easy. What must be done doesn't make it right. No. But it makes you alive. And alive is better than honorable and dead. They rested for a few minutes. But they could not stay. More hunters might come. Other threats might appear. On Theta Station, safety was always temporary. As they prepared to move again, Ari checked her communication device. Her face went pale. We have a problem. The Vrin Collective just issued a full bounty on Day. 50,000 credits. They're offering it to anyone on the station. Not just professional hunters. Anyone. How many people are on this station? Yuna asked. Thousands. Day looked at the faces around him. Scared refugees. An exiled Krivath. A massive champion far from home. A translator caught in the middle. His friend who had followed him into hell. Then we need to get to our ship, he said. Before the entire station decides we're worth more dead than alive, the final fight was coming, and this time, there would be nowhere left to run. The main cargo bay was the largest open space on Theta Station. Ships docked here to load and unload supplies. Day's ship, a small cargo hauler called the Morning Star, sat in Bay 12 near the far wall. It was old and slow, but it was theirs. And right now, it represented escape. The problem was the 50 people standing between them and the ship. Word of the bounty had spread fast. Scavengers, traders, low-level criminals. They had all come hoping for an easy payday. They carried whatever weapons they could find, plasma cutters, pipe wrenches, stolen security batons. They were not trained fighters. But 50 against 6 were bad odds. Day and his group stood at the entrance to the cargo bay. They could see their ship. They could not reach it. We can fight through, Vex Tor said, his 4 hands flexed, ready for combat. I can clear a path. You'll get killed, Yuna said. There's too many. Then we find another ship, Juan suggested. Steal one from a different bay. All the bays will be watched now, Ari said. The Vrin have people everywhere. This is our only shot. June stepped forward. His damaged arm hung in Day's makeshift brace, but his good arms were ready. We fight together, like humans do, as pack. Day looked at the crowd. They were desperate people doing desperate things. He understood that. He had been desperate on Kepler 442. He had done things he was not proud of. But this was different. These people were choosing to hurt others for money. I have an idea, Day said. But you're not going to like it. What is it? Yuna asked. I surrender. Everyone started talking at once. Vex Tor grabbed Day's arm with enough force to bruise. No, I will not allow it. Listen, Day said. He pulled free from Vex Tor's grip. They want me alive. 50,000 credits for a living specimen. They won't kill me immediately. That gives you time to get to the ship and prepare for takeoff. When they bring me close, you create a distraction. I run. We all get on the ship and leave. That's a terrible plan, Juan said. You have a better one? No one did. Day walked out into the cargo bay with his hands raised. The crowd went quiet. 50 pairs of eyes watched him. He could feel their greed, their hope, their fear. I'm Day, he called out. The one you're looking for. I'll come peacefully. No fighting. No one else needs to get hurt. Just let the others go. A Vrin representative stepped forward from the crowd. It was an insectoid creature with multiple legs and a body covered in blue chitin. Its voice came from a translator box attached to its thorax. You will come with us. Your companions will not be harmed if they leave immediately. Behind him, Day heard his group start to move toward the ship. Good. The plan was working, but then Vex Tor did something unexpected. The massive Krivath walked past Day and stood between him and the crowd. All 4 of his arms spread wide. His voice boomed across the cargo bay, speaking in broken human language so everyone could understand. No. This human is Krivathkin. Blood of my blood. Honor of my honor. Any who touch him must go through me first. The crowd hesitated. A Krivath champion was not something you fought lightly. But 50,000 credits was a lot of money. Your claim has no legal standing, the Vryn representative said. This is a business transaction. This is challenge, Vextor said. By law of my people. Human is family now. You want him, you fight me. The crowd began to murmur. This was getting complicated. No one wanted to fight a Krivath champion. But the money was too good to ignore. Then June stepped forward. He stood next to Vextor. I stand with Brother Vextor. I stand with Human Day. Exile or not, I am Krivath. I choose family. Ari moved next. I'm just a translator. But I'm human. And he's human. So I stand with him. Juan sighed and joined them. I'm going to regret this. He pulled out a small plasma pistol he had hidden in his jacket. But I'm in. Yuna was last. She did not say anything. She just stood next to Day with her plasma cutter in hand. Her eyes said everything she needed to say. We're in this together, always. The crowd saw 6 people standing against 50. The odds had not changed, but the situation had. These 6 were ready to die for each other. That kind of determination made people nervous. Last chance, Vextor said. Leave now. Or we fight. The Vryn representative calculated odds, analyzed risk. Decided that 50,000 credits was not worth fighting a Krivath champion and his pack. It turned and started walking away. Half the crowd followed. Then more. Within a minute, only a dozen people remained. The desperate ones. The stupid ones. The ones who would risk everything for money. Your choice, Day said. The leader of the remaining group was a scarred human male with augmented arms. He raised a plasma rifle. 12 of us can take 6 of you. Rush them. They charged. What happened next became a story told throughout Theta Station for years. Vextor moved like a force of nature. His 4 arms struck in different directions at once. 2 attackers went down in seconds. June fought beside him, his broken arm forgotten in the chaos. Even with 1 arm, he was still a Krivath. Still dangerous. Juan shot with surprising accuracy for a middle-aged information broker. He hit 2 attackers in the legs, dropping them without killing them. Ari used her translator device as a weapon, smashing it across someone's face. Then she picked up their dropped weapon and fired wildly. She missed mostly. But the noise and chaos helped. Yuna fought with her plasma cutter, using it to parry weapons and burn anyone who got too close. She moved like she had been doing this her whole life. Maybe she had. Day had never asked about her past. Day himself used what he had learned on Kepler 442. He did not try to be a warrior. He tripped people, threw equipment in their path, used his environment. When the augmented human came at him, Day grabbed a cargo container and released its magnetic locks. The container slid across the floor and slammed into the man's legs. He went down hard. The fight lasted less than 3 minutes. The remaining attackers either ran or lay on the ground, moaning. Day and his group stood breathing hard, blood on their clothes, bruises forming. But alive. Move, Yuna said. Before more show up, they ran to the Morning Star. Day opened the airlock with shaking hands. Everyone piled inside. June barely fit through the door. Vextor had to bend completely double. Yuna ran to the cockpit and started the launch sequence. The ship's engines whined to life. Old but functional. Like everything else about their ship, we need clearance to launch, Juan said. He was already at the communications panel, hacking into the station's systems. Give me 30 seconds. We don't have 30 seconds, Ari said. She was watching the security monitors. More people are coming. A lot more. The ship shuddered as someone started cutting through the outer hull with a plasma torch. Warning lights flashed. The computer announced hull breach in 30 seconds. 15 seconds, Juan said. His fingers flew across the panel. Day strapped himself into a seat. He looked at Vex Tor. The massive Krivoth was too big for any seat. He braced himself against the walls with all four arms. "Thank you," Day said, "for calling me family." "You are family," Vex Tor said. "You showed me what it means to survive. Not just to live. To refuse death. To fight with everything. Even when honor says you should not. This is what humans do. This is why you are dangerous." "Got it," Juan shouted. "We're clear." Yuna fired the engines. The Morning Star lifted off the deck with a roar. The plasma torch fell away. Day watched through the window as Theta Station grew smaller behind them. They had made it. Against all odds. Against impossible danger. They had survived. Because that is what humans do. 3 days later, the Morning Star docked at a small trading station 50 light-years away. Vex Tor prepared to leave. He had arranged transport back to his homeworld. He needed to report what he had learned. Before he left, he gave Day something. It was his ceremonial blade. The one he had drawn in the arena. The one that had started everything. "I cannot keep this," Day said. "This is too important. It belongs to you now. You are greatest hunter I have met. You hunt not for glory, not for honor. You hunt for survival. And that makes you more dangerous than any Krivoth." June chose to stay with the Morning Star. He said he had no clan to return to. But here, with these humans, he had found something better. A family that did not care about past failures, only future possibilities. Ari stayed too. She said she was tired of translating for Vryn researchers. She would rather help a cargo crew navigate the galaxy. Juan returned to Theta Station. Someone had to keep an eye on things. But he made them promise to check in regularly. And if they ever needed help, just call. As Vex Tor's transport ship departed, Day received a message. It was audio only. Vex Tor's voice, speaking in careful human words. "Thank you for the hunt, brother. Your species is not prey, not predator. You are something new. Something dangerous. You are survivors. And the galaxy will learn to respect that." Day smiled and deleted the message. The Morning Star's engines powered up. They had cargo to deliver, routes to fly, a living to make. They were back to being nobody special, just cargo haulers trying to get by. And that was exactly how Day wanted it. The Predator had drawn its blade and scanned the crowd. It had frozen when it saw the person. Not because the person was strong or dangerous or special, but because the person refused to die. And in the end, that was the most human thing of all.